So along with islands that blow up, Alaska has a lot of cities in bad places, including Fairbanks, right? We got the flood control project. That saves us. It's working well. But you think about Alaska cities and towns, almost every one of them is located where it is because of what? Mines, gold. It's where it's a good place to plop down your gear. What's Anchorage? Anchorage might be the railroad. I'm not sure how that started. Yeah. But this is Anchorage on a flight to Detroit. Just picked up from Anchorage. And Anchorage is in a really bad place. Why is Anchorage in a bad place? All of the above. Right. There's Anchorage. This red line is C Street, and to the west of C Street are soils that are really bad when shaken. We call them bootlegger cove clays. It's kind of like if you went out on the Tanana, on the mud out there, and started flexing your knees. Pretty soon, you're on a trampoline from all that silt with the water mixed in. So you shake this stuff up, it doesn't react well. And Anchorage saw that in the 1964 earthquake, which wrecked most of the town. So when you go to Anchorage, be aware of that when you're west of C Street. What's west of C Street? There's your city core. And up above there to the right is the airport, so yeah, just go toward the mountains. And that's why the Tsunami Warning Center is not in Anchorage. It is in Palmer. Just so a really big one hits Anchorage, then someone will be there to send out the warnings for the tsunamis. Okay, we're getting down there. The top 20, we've done 16 already. You can believe that. Take you back up north to another very cute little animal. It's also amazing. Super cool squirrel. Take you up to Tulip Lake, where there's a research station. They do a lot of research on everything northern up there, and for years they've been doing this guy, finding out more about these guys. Hazel, do you know what this is? Very good. Squirrel. Squirrel like this in the trees around here? Olive? Is it like the ones that are in the trees around here? No? You know what you call this one? A ground squirrel. Yeah. So they live in areas where there's not many trees, and there's a lot of them up north. And in 1989, Brian Barnes, again, he got this guy on the cover of Science. So such a neat thing that we can't do, we frail humans. They found that these guys, when they hibernate, their body temperature goes below 0 degrees C, below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than an ice cube. Like you being colder than an ice cube. That wouldn't be good. You or me. But these guys can somehow do it. They can lower their heartbeat 2 beats per minute in their deepest state of hibernation. When they sort of shiver awake, well, not awake, but they get their heart rate back up. They go up and down all winter long. Bears do the same thing. Also, Brian Barnes found that out. So, pretty incredible little creatures. And these guys do it by, they find a lot of ascorbic acid, vitamin C, in their blood. Somehow they can release this through their bloodstream. It helps them not get brain damage when they get that cold. We would not be that lucky. Okay, take you to one of the prettiest places in Alaska, Lituya Bay. It's pretty, but it's bad news. It's right here, sort of on the outer coast from Glacier Bay. It's a little T-shaped bay. And in 1786, this French explorer, La Perouse, sailed in there. He loved it so much, he said, this is it. This is the port of France, on the side of the world. But you look around Alaska, there's not a lot of French names left. And here's why. The Lituya Bay is gorgeous. This is a picture looking in toward the mountains. You notice those big mountains come right up from the ocean. There's a lot of tectonic activity there. See that straight line, that Desolation Valley? That's kind of like our Denali Fault. It's a strike-slip fault. So you have all these, the earth getting stuck, and then the plates unstick, and you get a big earthquake. It's motion from one side wants to go one way, one side wants to go the other way. Creates a lot of big earthquakes there. In 1958, it created a big earthquake. A magnitude 8 hit. That's a big earthquake. So, it was right in the back of the bay too, right on the fault. This mountain goes down, or splash, right into the water. Goes up the other side of this hill. Splash wave. From all that rock going in 1,000-foot deep water. That water's got to go somewhere. Right up the side of this hill. 1,700 feet. Taller than the Empire State Building. You've ever been there. That's what it looked like on the shoreline, what it still looks like. That's pictures from a couple of years ago. Those were all rainforest hemlock and Sitka spruce that were just sheared off. Now there's newer growth coming in. And these waves have happened throughout history. Just because there's so many earthquakes in there, the same thing happens over and over again. There's never been a sign of too many native villages around here. So that's one hazard of Lituya Bay. I should say there were 3 ships in Lituya Bay in 1958 at the time this giant wave came down the bay. Because fishermen like to duck in there because it's got the open North Pacific out here to the left. You have this beautiful bay to the right. So if you have a slack tide, you go in, you drop anchor for the night. So there were 2 guys by Cenotaph Island, 2 boats there, and one by La Chaussee Spit. And of the 2, one guy survived, one boat captain, kind of on the A in Lituya is where he was. He and his son were out there. He heard the earthquake, of course. He saw the splash. He saw this giant wave coming toward him. So he tried to pull up anchor and get out of there, but his anchor was stuck. So this big wave came, lifted his boat up, just snapped the anchor chain. They rowed up and over it. He and his son survived. The second guy off Cenotaph Island, they never found his boat. His boat was called the Sunmore. That's why the survey point's called that. The third boat was a couple, a man and his wife, who had a fishing boat right by the spit there. They were inside. And he remembers being in his boat, seeing this wave coming. Next thing he knows, he's looking down on spruce trees as the wave took him over that spit and deposited them into the open Pacific. And they survived. Their boat was wrecked, but other boats came and got him out of there. So that's one hazard of Lituya Bay, but it doesn't happen every 50 years or so. They have a big earthquake. Scientist Don Miller once figured you had a 1 in 9,000 chance of experiencing one of those big waves when you were in there on any given day. But it's been a long time since Don wrote that paper, so your odds are a lot better to encounter one of those waves now. But that wave was not what drove the French from Alaska. What drove the French from Alaska was this small opening here, which looks like that. And on when the tide's going in or out, it's a very violent place, and you don't want to have a boat in there. There's quite a current in there. So La Perouse sent 3 boats full of men, 21 men, 7 7 men in each boat, wood boats out to go out to the entrance, drop weighted lines, and map the entrance to the bay. How deep is it? Where should we go with our boats? So they were out there, the 3 small boats, with 21 men total, and they got sucked into this tidal current. It ate them up, spit them out. He never saw any of the men again. He lost all 21 of those crewmen, and they got out of there. Then they sailed to Maui. Cruz Bay is there with a plaque for him. And then they went to South Pacific, and they got eaten by cannibals. That was a bad trip for him, starting here. Lituya Bay is also one of the fastest rising places on Earth now because there's a lot of ice in there, just like there is in Glacier Bay. All that ice is gone now, so if you're going to crust of the Earth, now kind of floats back on the molten rock or something. And they figure it's rising at more than an inch a year, which is faster than sea level's rising. So we're getting down there. Muskox. We have muskox in Alaska, right? Let's see what the muskox are. In the 1860s or 90s, I forget. There were no more muskox in Alaska. Hunter on the Kandick River off the Yukon shot what he thought was a bear with horns.
Yeah, I love that.
That was the last muskox in Alaska.
And
No more.
I think this thing.
So, 1894, the years.
I know.
That started the excellent muskox adventure. In May 1930, the Congress said Alaska is a place that should have muskox. Congress had some money then. They said, okay, we got $40,000. What can we do with it? So $40,000 went a long way in those days. It allowed sailors to be contracted from Norway, captured 34 muskox in Greenland. And they didn't do it easily. One of the guys said, there is much violence in a flock of muskox. But they got them. It was a struggle. They brought them back to Norway, sailed them on to America under the Statue of Liberty. Those muskox came, 34 of them. So in Jersey, they had quarantined. They had to stay in New Jersey for a month. They all survived. Hardy creatures that they are. So they chugged across the country. I went to Seattle by train. And this is the 30s, so there's no Alaska Highway to get you up here. So how did they come? No train. Boat. Yeah. Took a steamer. That was the way to get up here in those days. Up to Seward. And all 34 made it. Yay! But you guys been to Seward. It's not a good place for muskox. Not much flat ground. It goes right to mountains. Kind of maritime climate. So where do you go with your muskox? They said, okay, let's bring them to Fairbanks. Got a university there. So up they came, chugged up by railroad up to Fairbanks, and they stayed here in a 40-acre clearing. Which I'm not sure, but I believe is where the muskox subdivision is, not where the muskox farm is now. I'm not sure about that. Anybody here know? Yeah, I don't think it's in the present site. Wherever it was, they had problems there because bears kept breaking down their fence. You know, it's the 30s, it's Fairbanks, it's pretty bushy. So bears would break the fence. They didn't kill any muskox, but they were kind of scared. I said, well, okay, Fairbanks might not be the best place because we can't maintain this fence with all these bears breaking in. There's too many bears. Where can we bring these muskox where they'll be safe, where there's no bears? Who said Nunivak Island? raised their hand. Nice job. So Nunivak is that little island off the nose of Alaska. It's a couple down. You'll see where it is in a second. Oh, it looks like a dog's head. But yeah, Nunivak Island was the site for Muskox Paradise. So these poor 34 muskox had to get back in the train to Nome. From there they get on a barge, of course, which takes them all the way to Marshall. They get on another barge off the Yukon, up to the Mount, up to St. Michael, where they did a lot of operating in those years. From there, bam, made it to Nunivak Island. And from there, that Muskox Paradise, we have stocked the rest of Alaska pretty well in most areas where they are. And from those 34, there are now more than 3,000. Here at Muskox Farm, yes. She asked if some of the muskox going into Canada side of the road are from this crop. I'm not sure. That's an answer I always give. I agree. That was quite an operation. $40,000. Okay, you guys are ready to get back into the beautiful evening? I'm ready to go play softball. So the number one, you might not have known about Alaska, but probably did. There's way too many places for bears and animals in general. Because who did the naming around here? Let's face it. Not the native people who were here. What names stuck? Yeah, chicken. The boring miners' names stuck. Simple miners' names stuck in most places. Right? So we got chicken instead. This is a great Alaska place name reference. This is the reference. Go take it backpacking. It weighs 6 pounds. But in it, you can find all sorts of cool things like Alaska government explorer William Dahl in the 1800s. Following all those miners, we had to see what Alaska was about, so he did a lot of exploring, which must have been a wonderful job. All these government guys up here kind of have these amazing, tough journeys to discover what Alaska was about, its geology, and just what was going on. So from Dahl, he left his name in a lot of places, but he was an egotist probably, but his men named these places after him. So they named Dahl Point, Mount Dahl, Dahl Glacier, Dahl Island, Dahl Lake, Mountain, Dahl Ridge, Dahl River. Now he's a naturalist, so he named Dahl's porpoises after himself. He did do that. And of course, so what else does that book tell us? It tells us that Alaska has a chilly creek, 4 cold creeks, 1 warm creek, 19 dry creeks, frustrated miners name those, 2 extra dry creeks, open in the area. Yeah, there's 1 gay creek. There's 5 straight creeks. And 22 crooked creeks. So I said there's way too many animal names. Anyone know what the most common animal name is for a creek? Haven't heard it yet. Hazel. Yes. Hazel wins the prize. 57. So there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of other bear names too. Bear River, Bear Mountain, in fact. The Board of Geographic Names will not let you name anything else after bear. So don't try it. Okay, you all said a lot of other common names. The most next common animal name is, I heard it out there somewhere, 80 moose names. What's next? Fish and rock are very common, but they're not the next. It's an animal. Lives in the water. 64 beaver. The next most common one, sheep. Alaska also has a Chinatown, a Hell's Kitchen, a Wall of China, Grand Canyon, 3 Death Valleys. Probably all very cool places. I haven't been to any of them. 7 Crater Lakes, 12 Long Islands. We have Purgatory. Remember Yukon? There's Purgatory. There's also Paradise. Well, thank you very much.